a little Mountain West preview. The first one of the season, baby. The first
And they
G5
deserve it,
preview of the
man.
season. Boy, dude, they deserve it. This Fresno State team, AP ranked 27 at 5-0. 5-0. Wyoming, 4-1, with their only loss being to Texas in a game where Texas had to come back in that game when it was in Laramie. These are
And this game's in Laramie too, by the way.
this game
This
is
game's in
also in Laramie.
Laramie.
We're gonna have some 10-mile-per-hour crosswinds there. Oh yeah.
Some elevation. They asked Fresno State's coach about it, by the way. They asked him, they said, "What are you gonna do about elevation?" He kind of dismissed it like you kind of have to do. But Laramie, man, Laramie happens, man.
Yeah, I mean, looking at injury wise, right? Wyoming, pretty healthy, right? You lose Pelletier at wide receiver. Wasn't really big. Your passing game isn't really your identity anyways. It's been your running game. McNeely goes down with the torn ACL in fall camp. Whaley, 8.3 yards per carry since he's coming back from injury.
The
He
Northern
is
Illinois guy, man.
just dynamic. He's running the ball hard. Well, he is awesome. He is awesome, and a huge reason why this team is playing the way that they are. Fresno State, Dean Clark missed last game. Their safety, I think he might miss again, but their walk-on, Braca,
it looks like
Bradshaw?
I'll real quick. I'll interrupt here. It looks like Dean Clark has been practicing.
Yep.
And he practiced last week, right? He looks better in practice this weekend. Nobody knows anything, but if you're a Fresno State fan, you're obviously crossing your fingers. But like you said, yeah, they're playing well. They're playing well.
Yeah,
The back played well.
Yeah, I mean, well, 6 tackles, 1.5 sacks, and a pass breakup, deflection, or whatever. That's a heck of a game for a walk-on. We love walk-ons, especially when they're balling like that. I think that the X factor in this game for Fresno State is obviously Mikey Keene and Eric Brooks. I think so. I mean, well, look, we talked about Mikey King like in the preseason, right? When we were talking about drafting fantasy quarterbacks. We had some G5 alternate selections that we had to make, and one of my honorable mentions was Mikey Keene. So he's been playing absolutely fantastic football. I mean, they're 5-0 right now. They're 5-0. Now, with that being said, how good are these teams that Fresno State has actually played? They played Purdue week 1 at home.
It's still impressive going to Purdue. It was at Purdue.
It was on the road.
Purdue. Still impressive to go in there and get a win. And they went in to Arizona State and just blanked them. But
Eastern Washington,
bad.
Double overtime. Nevada is horrible at football. They're terrible at football. Kent State,
not much better.
Also pretty terrible at football. So when I look at Fresno State, right, and you look at the attack, like if you're just looking at numbers straight up, right, numbers need to have context. Okay, Fresno State's 16th in the country in yards per game allowed on the run, on the ground, right? You got to also remember, they've been up in a lot of these games, right? Eastern Washington doesn't run the ball, okay? Purdue doesn't run the ball a ton. They do. But it's like a Graham Harrell kind of run the ball. It's like run, when we see an open box kind of deal. These teams don't run the ball because they've been up on these teams. So that's a pretty misleading stat right there. Also, 10-mile-per-hour crosswinds with the elevation. Like, teams have struggled to throw the ball. Quinn Ewers looked like a pedestrian quarterback in Laramie when he went there. He looked like a pedestrian quarterback. Now, Mikey King is athletic. But I don't know that Fresno State's ground game is all that impressive. Give me Wyoming plus the 6. Give me Wyoming straight up to win this football game. Peasley's good enough at quarterback. He's good enough. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's win the field position battle. And let's run the heck out of the ball with Whaley. Let's run the heck out of the ball with Whaley. I don't think this Fresno State run defense, and I'm not saying it's on fraud alert, but I'm just saying I don't think it is. It's exactly what the numbers are telling me, or what the numbers are telling you, right? But and Wyoming's pass defense has been really good, obviously because they play in Laramie, right? The run defense is what's been bad. If Fresno State wants to win this game, they're gonna have to run the ball, and I don't know if they want to do that. If
this turns into a grinded out football game, right, in the low 20s, right? High teens. It definitely favors Wyoming, right? And that crowd. And the longer Wyoming stays in the football game, weird things happen there. Texas Tech, right? We saw what happened to them. I'm gonna go Fresno State to win, but I'm gonna take Wyoming to cover. And I know that's kind of a cop out, whatever. I just think it's gonna be a really good football game. I just think it's gonna be a really, really good football game that everybody should have their eyes on, right? If you're wondering, it's 7 p.m. game on Fox, national broadcasted game. That's awesome. That is awesome for both these programs and the Mountain West, who is a really, really interesting conference, right? Wyoming and Fresno State are obviously two of the better teams in this conference in their own right. There's some really good football teams in this conference. Boise State, it's not a bad football team. UNLV is playing really good football, by the way. And Air Force, obviously, probably the favorite in the conference as of right now. Them and Fresno State. Well, maybe Fresno State's maybe a favorite there. But regardless, looking ahead, these teams still have tough games to win, right? I think Fresno State maybe has the easier schedule a little bit because they do avoid Air Force, but they still have to beat UNLV.
That's crazy to say. That's a crazy sentence. They avoid Air Force. Gosh,
I know, and I love it though. I love it.
Air Force is awesome this year. They are awesome.
Yeah, but I do think I hope the whole country gets to see that there's some quality football being played out in the Mountain West, specifically with these two football teams.
Specifically, these two football teams. We'll talk about these two football teams and Air Force
and Boise State.
Maybe UNLV too. Maybe UNLV.
Maybe, that is maybe. San Diego State's been a real disappointment. I'll say so far. But they've had a tough opening schedule. But we'll see if they can bounce back. Is that It's it's still a Michigan coach over there, right? Brady Hoke.
Oh yeah.
Which is
the
awesome.
Hokey pokey, baby.
Yeah, I do think Wyoming's quarterback is awesome. I think he's so.
He just Peasley just does enough, dude. Peasley does enough.
He's gritty. He's just gritty, man. And sometimes in the G5, grit is awesome. It's just so awesome.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like anytime you have like this kind of tattoo right here on your throwing arm, that's how you know that guy's gonna lower his shoulder with the game on the line as a quarterback. 100%.